Hi friends, and welcome back to another episode of Why the Hell Did I Ever Make a YouTube Channel? About a month ago, when I cut off 12 inches of my hair, one of my dear friends informed me that I looked like a certain Lord Farquaad. Do I disagree with her? Not really. I mean, she's kind of right. So, I'm going to make a Lord Farquaad costume. Do I have other, more pressing tasks? Of course I do, but they're no fun. Let's just get right into it.
Because I started with this piece of fabric, I had to find a way to have enough for a circle skirt, so I cut out these shapes, which, if sewn together, would form a circle with a hole in the middle.
So it's time to sew the skirt, so I'm going to reload the thread and get to sewing.
I had a few options for the thread colors, but I ended up choosing the second one because I thought it matched better. And then I got to sewing the skirt, so I sewed up all of the vertical seams so that the final product would be something that looked like a donut. Once I was done with that, I flipped it inside out for a brief moment to make sure that it looked correct. Because I wasn't planning on using a zipper or any buttons, I would be using elastic, so I measured it to the size of my waist, cut off the piece, and put it aside for later. Next, I got back to working on my skirt, so I folded down the top part of the skirt and pinned it in place, and next I sewed a channel that was about an inch down from the top, so this is where I would be putting my elastic in. However, when sewing this, I didn't sew all the way around so that I would have space to put my elastic in later. So I attached a safety pin to one end of my elastic and threaded it through the top part of the skirt. Once I was done with that, I pulled the elastic out and sewed the two ends of the elastic together.
Okay, so this actually turned out way better than I expected. The only problem is, I think the skirt looks pretty good, but I just don't look good in skirts, I think. I don't know, they just make me look really short. Basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to hem this so it's a bit shorter. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the back slightly longer so I don't flash anyone. But yeah, I just have to hem this, and that's really it. Also, it's so flowy and fun, but I'll figure it out. Okay, anyways.
Before I hemmed it, I drew where I wanted to sew with some soap. Yes, soap. That's what my mom has in terms of drawing on fabric, and it's actually pretty effective. This next part was a bit tricky, and because I am kind of lazy and I wasn't really trying that hard, it turned out kind of messy, but I pinned a rolled hem on the bottom and sewed it in place. This hem specifically was a bit difficult because obviously a rolled hem you are trying to fold a straight line, but here because it's a circle skirt it's a curve, so it's going to keep getting bunched up in the sewing machine, but just try to stretch it out and flatten it out as much as you can. I didn't really do that, but if you're going to make a circle skirt like this one, then I would recommend that. I would also recommend not using a stretchy fabric like I was because that just makes it harder. Alright, now that I'm done with the skirt, I'm going to move on to making the cape. I have this reddish pink fabric, and it's not great because it is a bit more pink than I'd like it to be, and I'd rather it be burgundy to match the whole color scheme, but there is enough fabric to make a cape, so I'm just going to use this because I don't have too many other choices. Making this cape was probably the simplest addition to this project because the only thing I really did was cut some of the corners off of this cape so that it would be a bit narrower towards my neck, and then I pinned a rolled hem all along the edges except for the ones that were already hemmed when I got the fabric, and my plan was just to safety pin it onto my shirt after I was finished with that. Alright, so since the last time I cut my hair, it has grown out quite a bit, and honestly, for Lord Farquaad, it's a bit long, so I'm going to trim it right at the chin, and that is a bit short.
However, there's still 2 weeks until Halloween, so it's gonna grow out to around the right length. I'm gonna just chop it off, you know? I'm gonna take like a couple inches off, probably just make it right around the chin, you know? Okay, I'm gonna go do that. Alright, so now that I thoroughly look like a mushroom, I'm done with the haircut. With this, kind of. Yeah, again, doesn't look great on me. But I do kind of want to cut layers. I know Lord Farquaad obviously didn't have layers. He had like, I don't know what kind of haircut he had, but like, no. I feel like I look like Dora right now. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna do layers because I just searched up short layers and all of the photos that came up have not looked great. So yeah, maybe for next time.
So now to get started with the top. This is the general pattern that I cut out. After I cut out the pattern for the front part, I pinned it to some fabric, and then I cut it out with a little bit of seam allowance on each side. After that, I lined up all of the seams inside out and pinned them in place, so that once I unfolded them, I would be left with a general front of a bodice shape, and the seams would look like a V to make it look nicer. To make the bodice, I repeated an almost identical process to the front of the bodice. However, instead of cutting out the pieces so that the seams would make a V, I cut out the seams so that they would just make 2 straight lines going down the back. I was left with this shape, and then I trimmed it to make it more fitted. I pinned down the sides and the top of this shirt, and then I sewed it in place. The next part of making this top was to make the sleeves. So I cut out this pattern for the sleeves, where the dotted line represents the length of each sleeve. After I cut out 2 sleeves, I folded them each in half and then sewed down that straight line. Now, since Lord Farquaad has puff sleeves, I folded each of the sleeves like so, and then I used a thread to gather around that circle so that they could fit into the armholes. Now this next step was kind of tricky because in general sewing sleeves is not the easiest thing, but basically you fold the sleeves right side out and then you put them inside of the main part of the top, but the main part of the top should be inside out. If you don't have someone who can explain how to sew these sleeves to you in person, I would recommend trying to go online because I'm sure that there are a few good tutorials out there. Sorry, I can't really explain this part too well because even I was confused with what I was doing.
Why, hello there. So ignore my rat's nest of a hairstyle. But look at this top. It looks messy. I will admit that because this is a different color and fabric from this. But if I like make this neater and obviously like hem all the edges and do that, this is legitimately kind of cute. Like, I was not expecting this. Like, Lord Farquaad, you have a good fashion sense, my dude.
As the night progresses, my hair gets messier and messier. Anyway, after I tried on the shirt, I measured some elastic to fit my arm and then I sewed it in a loop. Then I put the loops on top of the sleeves, and after hemming the sleeves, I sewed it on, making sure to stretch as I went. So with that, the shirt was almost complete, and all that was left was to hem the neckline and the bottom of it, but I was too tired at this point. It was around 12:15, and I was really tired, so I just left it for the next day. So it's Halloween, and I have a virtual game night or something like that with my friends in 40 minutes, and I need to wear my costume. Or I don't need to, but I want to. So it's a mad dash to get this thing done. I need to hem it, and I need to make the hat, or I might not wear the hat, but this is my awful hem. I'm gonna sew it in place now. It's gonna look really bad because it's really messy, but that's okay because I am bad at neckline hems. Oh my god! We're doing this in the kitchen because the lighting is better here, but also I look like a Disney princess. What? Like, I want to be Lord Farquaad. I don't want to look like, I don't know, like, this looks like, I don't know what it looks like. It doesn't look like any Disney princess. But, like, I'm a new Disney princess. Or, alternatively, I look like a Christmas elf, which is slightly more favored than a Disney princess, but not by a lot. Like, okay, I know I haven't made the hat yet because I don't have too much time. The thing got postponed to 45 minutes from now, so I might be able to finish it, but at the same time, like, I have no idea how to make a hat like that, and this has none of the decorations that Lord Farquaad's, like, thing had. Maybe I need to put on the long sleeve under it. Maybe that's gonna make me look more like Lord Farquaad, but I'm sad. I mean, to be fair, on its own and like without the belt, this does look like a kind of cute dress. It's like a little mini dress. But for Lord Farquaad, so I was rushing a lot at this point, and I also had no idea what I was doing. I found an article on WikiHow on how to make a beret, so I can link that in the description if anyone actually wants to make this. But basically, I cut out a circle for the top of the beret, but I didn't have enough fabric, so I just sewed 2 semicircles together. And then I also had a smaller circle for the bottom of it, and then I had this band, which is what would be connecting the smaller and the larger circle together. So I would have to sew the band in a circular pattern just like that and then place it onto the top of the beret, and then I don't really know, I just kind of sewed it together and like made something. Alright, so it's November 2nd. Halloween was 2 days ago, and although I finished my costume by Halloween, I have not filmed a final reveal yet, so I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna get dressed back into Lord Farquaad, do a quick final reveal, and talk about the whole process. Well, this is the costume. I think that the longer I look at myself, the more I'm like, yeah, I kind of do look like Lord Farquaad. I think it's really the hat that brings it all together, because you saw the process of me making this hat, and it's a mess, but if I put it on like this, it kind of works. Not really, but it kind of works with the costume. So this is the top and the skirt. You guys already saw that. And the cape too. It's so much fun to walk around with a cape too. Like, I feel like I'm an important person. Like, yeah, this is how it turned out, obviously. I didn't really go anywhere this Halloween. So my plan is, next year, I'm going to go as Shrek characters with some of my friends, and I'm gonna be Lord Farquaad. But what I'm gonna work on between now and next year's Halloween is adding all of the details, because in Lord Farquaad's costume, obviously, there's like more detail around here. There's some cool like embroidery patterns on the skirt. I might actually not touch the skirt because I like the skirt as it is, but I'm just gonna add more detail, fix whatever that is, and just figure out a way to make it look nicer, because hopefully next year we can actually go outside and do stuff. So yeah, this is definitely a girlier version of Lord Farquaad, but I like it, and I'm probably gonna wear this next Halloween. I hope you guys liked this video. Stay tuned for more stuff coming up. Bye guys.